All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I am calling this meeting of the Public Safety Communications Task Force to order. It is 1:04 on September 11, 2023, and I'm Barbara Neal. As a reminder, the meeting is being recorded and the recording will be posted on the task force webpage following this meeting. I will start with a roll call of task force members, most of whom I can see on the screen. So the commissioner is here. Michael Wright, good afternoon.
Hello.
Jim Mack, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And of course, I'm here, so that makes the quorum. I do not see any other task force members on the call at this point. Is that correct? Okay. So Callie, we do not have right now Paul White, Mike Dunges, or Ron Kumitz. Okay. I do see we have several members of the public with us. I'll call on your name and give you an opportunity, if you would like, to introduce yourselves and any affiliation that that you may have if you wish to share. Actually, let me start with, I know we have some visitors from Department of Public Safety. So Corey Chase, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Corey Chase. I'm the director of RTS, the Radio Technology Services Division here at the Department of Public Safety.
Thank you, Corey. Mandy?
Hello, my name is Mandy Wooster. I do policy development for the Department of Public Safety.
Excellent. And I forgot to mention, but as always, Callie is here with us, also from Department of Public Safety, providing administrative support. Okay, so other members, oh, I see Paul White has joined us. Welcome, Paul.
Yes, thank you. Apologize for being late.
Yep, nope, that's okay. We're just finishing up roll call. And on to the public members who might wish to introduce themselves. So I am seeing someone with the last four digits of 2237. Would you care to introduce yourself?
Jason Bivens with 911 Authority.
Welcome. Stephen Whitaker, I believe this is you with the last four of 6647. Not hearing you, not hearing anyone.
I don't know what number I'm calling from, but I'm here.
Okay, yep, this is, yep, as I expected. So thank you, Stephen. Welcome. Again, apologies for not being able to pronounce the last name. I'm going to call on Derek.
Derek Giczarek, Altiris Technology Partners.
Welcome. Kim Cheney.
Good morning. Just interested in this whole subject matter. It's a member of the public.
Nice to see you. Thank you. Philip Sisk.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm here representing Mission Critical Partners. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Townend.
Good afternoon. I'm Richard Townend with Alteris Technology Partners.
Welcome. And I think that takes us through everyone I can see on the list here. So we will move on to approval of the agenda. So the agenda was distributed to task force members last week. It is also available on our website. Do task force members have any changes to the agenda? Okay. Hearing none, we'll consider the agenda approved and move on to approval of the minutes. We have two sets of minutes to consider from August 30th and September 6th. Both of those were distributed to task force members last week and are available on our website. So we will take them one at a time. Do task force members have any corrections to the August 30th meeting minutes? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the August 30th meeting minutes? Oh, and sure. If I could interject here, I'm sorry, I meant to say this right off before the first vote. it's very difficult for me to hear who is making a motion and who is seconding. So I'm hopeful that task force members could just state your name or even your first name before you make a motion. And that way at least I'll be able to stay tuned into who's doing what here. So I'll ask again, is there a motion to approve the August 30th meeting minutes?
Jen will make such a motion.
Thank you, Jen. A second?
Jim Mack
Michael,
will second it.
Jim Mack. See who I heard first. Any discussion on the minutes? Okay. Everyone in favor of approving the minutes from August 30th, say aye, raise your hand. Okay. I
Aye.
am seeing Paul, Jen, Jim, and Michael with raised hands. Mine is raised as well. So the August 30th minutes are approved. On the September 6th minutes, are there any corrections to the September 6th meeting minutes?
There had been one small typo that I pointed out to Callie, but I don't think it was. I think that was in a very early draft, so I don't believe that there's anything to change.
At this point, okay. All right then. Is there a motion to approve the September 6th meeting minutes?
I will make that motion. Jen will make that motion.
Thank you, Jen. Second?
I'll second, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. And any discussion, further discussion on those September 6 minutes? Okay, all in favor of approving the September 6 minutes, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, heard Jen. I see Michael, Jim, Paul, and then myself with hands raised. So the September 6th meeting minutes are approved. Okay. Next, moving on to the next agenda item was to discuss the summary of task force work to date and our distribution of same to stakeholders. So I had taken this as an action item. I have created a summary of the task force work to date. I will distribute that to task force members following this meeting so it can be circulated. Let me know, please, if you have any edits, if you could do that by noon on Wednesday. I'll distribute that once it's finalized in the early afternoon on Wednesday. And that update will go to the constituent groups that appointed all of us. The Sheriff's Association has already asked for additional, not additional input, but to be kept up to date on what's going on with the task force. I'll also send to dispatch center contacts that we have at the 911 board and then legislators. So, and once it's distributed, of course, you'll all get a copy as well. I think it can be sent out far and wide to anyone that you feel would benefit from knowing what's going on. So that is where that stands. You will see that from me following this meeting.
Barb.
Yes, Paul.
I know that Mayor Dunges represents the league, but maybe we'd add Gwen Zakoff to that list.
Yep.
Oh, Gwen doesn't work there anymore.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no,
No,
she doesn't, but I'll add them.
Okay.
The organization. That's
Okay.
a good point.
You-
And I think I
Barb,
cut
will
you off.
take a-
Stephen, did
Barb,
you have
will
a
take
comment?
Yeah, on
Yes.
this issue. I think this is an important enough representation of what's going on to be voted on in final form, not to be crafted, amended after the meeting and then go out. I think it should either wait till the next meeting or have been circulated already for comment at an official meeting. Or you could conduct another special meeting, and send it out late in the week. But it's an important document to characterize what's going on.
So the commissioner and I had a brief discussion about this morning. Commissioner, thoughts?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm open to hearing whatever the official protocols are regarding a correspondence like this, but this is not, it's not an ask of anyone. It's more to keep the Joint Fiscal Committee and let the legislative bodies and the groups that we represent apprised of where we are in the early stages. So, I mean, we have no problem with getting all the task force members to agree to the form and content, but I don't think it actually requires a vote. I think if all the task force members say, yep, that's an accurate representation of what we've been doing, then I think we can let it fly. That being said, I think we're going to find later in the agenda that we're going to have another meeting this week. So if it is the will of the group to make it an action item to be voted on, it just slows us down by a few days, not by a lot.
Right.
What is the will of the group to make it something that is a voted on issue or something that remains as a correspondence from the co-chairs?
Having seen a first draft of it, I'm fine with the content of it, but I know the other members have not seen it. So, I mean, I'm fine with it just going out, but if I'm not opposed to it coming back to a vote either.
Anyone
Well,
else?
why don't we leave it as this? Why don't we, when we circulate the draft to the task force members, why don't we pose the question in the body of the email that it has been suggested that this may be an action item we wish to vote on, or with the input of the members, if they're comfortable with it going out without the need of a vote, then we'll do that.
Will it be circulated to others for comment?
Not before it goes out, I wouldn't imagine.
Okay,
This doesn't fall, yeah, it doesn't fall under, executive session. So there's been a lot of participation by many non-task force members in getting us to this point. And I'm concerned about the co-chairs driving this with, bobblehead members approving what the co-chairs do. And I think that the task force needs to be more engaged, and they need the input from the stakeholders who are out here doing the work. So.
Okay, I think I'm gonna take the commissioner's recommendation. I'll distribute this after the meeting and give people an opportunity to get back with any input or a seal of approval. And depending on what the input is, then we'll make a decision as to whether or not to vote on it at the next meeting. Commissioner, does that make sense to you?
Sure, that's fine by me. I'm having a tremendous lag in my internet. So
Okay.
everything you guys do is like 3 minutes behind what I'm hearing. So that's why I'm trying to shut off my camera to keep it a little quicker
Okay.
on this great state Wi-Fi.
Okay, so I'll distribute, solicit input, feedback, then based on that feedback, we'll make a decision as to whether or not we need to hold it for a vote at the next meeting. Okay. All right.
Will it be a confidential document in the meantime?
I would not consider it a confidential document. It is a statement of facts. So yeah.
Mr. Whitaker, I can take this conversation offline with you.
Okay. Are we ready to move on?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Next up is a discussion of the question of independent legal counsel for the task force. Commissioner, do you have some updates for us
I
on
do.
this? Okay.
I do. When we last met on Wednesday of last week, that's when we made the decision we were moving ahead with that. I have concluded the internal state government discussions, which were bandying about it being relatively unusual to not use the Attorney General's office, but that notwithstanding, I have gotten my hands on an RFP that was used by another body similar to this to put an RFP out for independent legal counsel. I just got that this morning. So I'm going to work internally to try and put change the language so that it meets our needs. And then we can determine what the content of that would be amongst this body. So hopefully by the next time we meet, I'll have at least a draft to share.
Okay. Questions from task force members on that? Moving on then to update on the congressionally directed spending application. Back to you, Commissioner.
Yeah, I think I must have been snoozing when we did this agenda, because there's not going to be any change on this until we hear back from the feds.
Okay.
So there's no action items, there's no more info, and we've heard nothing. And we
Okay.
won't hear on this until they reconvene in the fall and vote.
Okay. I will take it off future. It was kind of a standing item for a minute. I'll take it off the future agendas. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. This brings us now then to public comment. Could I get an indication, please, of the number of guests that would like to comment? I see Kim Cheney's hand is up. I assume, Stephen, that you would like to comment as well. Is there anyone else on the call that would like to comment? Please raise your hand if you can, or otherwise indicate. Okay. In that case, I will call on Kim Cheney for public comment.
Thank you. I would like to visit the Williston Center so I get a first-hand idea of what people are doing. If that's all right, just a tour of the place and get to talk to the managers and hear firsthand what some of their problems are. And I would also like to see the RFP, the draft that the commissioner has. This is a subject I've mulled over in my mind for the last 4 years. And I've actually talked to some attorneys, but the people I used to work with, one of them died and the other one isn't working anymore. So, but I would like to see what, I have some ideas of the type of attorney. This is a complicated task, and I'd just like to see an idea of what's being proposed.
So may I respond to that, Madam Chair, Co-Chair?
Yeah, you sure can. Yes.
The template that I'm using is a public document. It's titled Request for Proposal for Telecommunications Contract Negotiator / Legal Counsel for Municipal Telecoms. It was issued by the Vermont Community Broadband Board on February 11th of 2022, with responses due by February 25th, 2022. So that is a previously issued RFP, and it's not secret in any way. I'd be happy to send it to you if you would like to receive it direct.
Well, yes, if you would, or just send me a link. I'm not very good at writing all this stuff down here.
Sure, no problem.
And
No problem.
can I get in for a visit to the?
Probably not. And I'll tell you why. You can't just walk around the floor of a PSAP. And the notion of us allowing members of the public as one-offs coming in and interviewing and talking to our managers could turn into an absolutely unwieldy distraction for our personnel. If I do it for you, then I would have to do it for any other member of the public who sought to do so. And right now we have absolutely no provision for public tours of our communication center. So I would imagine, Yeah, I don't know how
Those are
that
pretty
could be
good
workable, but
reasons.
we can try. Hey, look, we can try and we can ponder that a little bit, but I'm not optimistic that that would work out.
Some reliable person would hold my hand and tell me when to shut up. But I just want to see the place.
Tell you what you can't see or unhear. So let me noodle on that and we can circle back around on that, Mr. Cheney.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Stephen, would you care to offer public comment?
I don't think it'll do any good. I think you're gonna continue on the course you're on and brush aside the need, the recurring need to get these plans integrated, the interoperability plan, the broadband plan, the middle mile plan, et cetera, and the need to give guidance on getting the governor's emergency communications advisory council reconvened is, I would say, is one of your highest priorities in league with the pilot projects, because without either of those situation analysis of regards to the other plans and the pilot projects relating to convening governance to who's going to own this stuff, you're going to run into a time constraint that's going to be impossible. And to reopen the legislation next year because you need to extend the pilot projects is going to make a huge mess. So I want to reiterate that you need to get moving on the pilot projects and get one or more approved before the end of the year and leave this legislation as it is for the next year, or you're going to make a mess. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Thank you for your comments, Stephen. Is there anyone else who'd like to offer public comment? Okay, I am not seeing anyone. So we will move on to a discussion of the big RFP bidder questions and responses. And I will hand this back over to the commissioner who's got the most up-to-date information on those questions.
So the Q&A period closed last Friday at 3 p.m. We received several, 5 separate vendors asked questions ranging from one question from a vendor up to numerous questions from a vendor. Many of them were sort of the same question in different words. So they were kind of, you could tell that they were a little bit along the same lines, but they weren't exactly the same question. So we have a reasonably voluminous number of questions that require crafting responses and also ensuring consistency within those, because as I said, they're not the exact same questions, but they appear to be being asked for the same, seeking the same type of clarity. So we need to ensure consistency both with inside that document, but also vis-a-vis the little RFP answers that we have already posted publicly. Given that this is Monday at 1 and we received those questions at shortly after 3 o'clock on Friday, my team has worked on some of the questions, some for a draft to at least give us a place to start. We need to get some answers from the procurement office, some from ADS. And what I would propose to do, in that we don't have enough, I would say, meat on the bones to warrant going in and trying to approve answers at this point. I would say that my recommendation would be that we do not enter executive session for that purpose, but that instead, following this meeting, that I circulate the document with the work that's been done so far by state actors to all the task force members so that they can see what's going in draft form, offer their own context or additions. And then when we have a much more well-organized document that we would then consider going into executive session to narrowly stick to approval or editing of those draft responses, which would necessitate another meeting, which is obviously at the end of this agenda, but I would recommend that we try to meet again this week for that purpose.
Okay, comments from task force members on that outline of next steps? Anyone object to that approach? Okay. So it sounds like that is what we'll do. Where are we on the? Well, we're almost to the next meeting date. So I will move off this agenda item and go through the others unless there's any additional comment from task force members on the big RFP questions and responses. Okay.
I would just ask that task force members take a minute to look at what's in there. Please drop comments or use track changes to edit liberally. And I'm particularly going to hit up Ron because he has some technical skills that I think some of us don't that will be useful. So yeah, a little bit of homework.
Excellent. Okay, so next agenda item was, if necessary, was a vote when we came out of any executive session. So we will skip over that. Is there any new business from task force members?
I have new business.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry that I don't remember the date. These are all a little bit smashed together in my brain, but we had talked about a homework assignment for task force members of what should we be working on while we're waiting for the bids to come back. Mr. Whitaker has, prominently put consideration of pilot projects out there for us to consider. He has also dropped the suggestion to reconstitute the Governor's Emergency Communications Advisory Council. Whether or not that's the right body, it raises the issue of where does this task force have intersections with other pieces either of state government or beyond that we could seek advice from. So I think that is a legitimate thing that we should be thinking about. And so I just wanted to ask that an agenda item for next meeting, whether it be a regular meeting or a special meeting, be a report out from task force members on that question that we kind of gave as homework a couple meetings ago about what should we be focusing on as soon as we clear the responses to the questions from vendors. What should we be focusing on in that interval before we get them back for review and scoring?
Okay. I'll add that to the agenda for the next meeting. Okay. All right, moving on then is there's no other new business from task force members before I jump off that? Okay. So let's talk about the next task force meeting. Callie, I know you did some outreach to see what people might be available. Did you get responses on that, or do we need to hash it out from scratch here?
Yeah, I heard originally from Paul, and then I had the items that you had sent me.
Okay.
That was all.
Okay, so let me start from there then. One of the good times, if you will, for at least me, the commissioner, and Paul is Wednesday at 11 a.m. Another option is Friday at 1 p.m. So let's go around the task force kind of by roll call, and you can state your availability for those times or say that you're not at all. So Let me see. Well, first, Commissioner and Paul, has there been any change in your schedule as far as availability?
Yes,
Okay,
it-
so, okay.
It goes so fast. Like this is like reservations at a Michelin starred restaurant around here. So my Wednesday at 11 has been filled. But if I had to, I could try to move it. I could definitely do Thursday after. I can't tell if that's, my eyes are getting old. Thursday late in the day, 2 o'clock, 2:30. And I could also do Friday at 2 o'clock or later.
2 o'clock or later. Okay, and I'll let you know that my Thursday is not an option anymore. So let's zero in on Friday at 2. Paul, does that work for you?
I can do that.
Okay, Jim Mack.
I can do that.
Okay. Well, it looks like Michael Wright might have stepped away. Michael, if you can hear me, does Friday at 2 work? Kelly, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I have an appointment later. I have an appointment at 2:15 on Friday, so I'm not sure if maybe Sonia would be available on Friday if that were to be the case.
I will check
Mm.
and Commissioner, are we
We will
comfortable?
find someone.
We'll find
Mhm.
someone, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
Okay, Ron Kumitz isn't on, the mayor isn't on, and Michael has stepped away, so maybe he had an emergency. I would
He
say
had
at this,
he had a phone pressed to his ear. so-
okay, okay. We've got a quorum that's available Friday at 2. I think we should take it and hope that the others will be able to join us. So looks like Friday at 2 o'clock will be our next meeting. Go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, what is the process? Paul, maybe you know. So if we set it for that date and then something happens and people know they're not available, as long as we publicly warn a change in the time, then it's okay, right? And you have to give that warning X number of hours in advance. It shouldn't be a problem if we ended up having to push it to say 2:30 or 3 o'clock, right?
If you're making it later, I guess I can't give you the textbook answer, but as long
Right.
as we're not making it earlier without giving people notice, I think that's fine.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm committed. I'm holding that block on
Yeah.
Friday from 2 to 4, so.
I mean, because worst
Okay.
case scenario, is somebody shows up at 2 and we don't actually meet till 2:30, they have to hang around and wait, but
Right. Okay, 2 o'clock on Friday. Be the next
Okay.
meeting.
My last plug for the task force members to get in there and make edits so that this is representative when we go into executive session, that we can be quick, not so much the speed, but that we're just sticking to the responses that have already been drafted with all the perspectives of the task force, not just from the state enterprise.
Excellent. So we'll write the task, the homework up on the chalkboard, and everybody should write it down. Okay, that brings us to the last item, which is to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Jen will make the motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Jen. Is there a
Jim Mack will
second?
second it.
Thank you, Jim Mack. All in favor, raise your hand, please. I see Jen, Paul, Jim. I've got my hand raised and Michael is away, so we are adjourned. We'll see you Friday at 2. Thanks very much,
you.
everybody.
I know.
Bye-bye.